Alright, so welcome to the videos. So take a screenshot of these, you will need them for the build. Anyways, I'm going to be showcasing different suspensions and how to build them. Let's get it. First up, we got a race suspension that is going to be used for possibly a DTM build or a Le Mans build of some sort. Now, this is basically just a double wishbone turned to the side. It's somewhat simple. If you're wanting to use this, you can probably figure out ways to compact it anymore. The only reason why I didn't is because I'm going to be building something about this scale with the 5x5 wheels. But it's pretty soft, so I can probably tighten it. You can easily tighten it with just rope. But otherwise it works really well and is good for making a lower build. Now let's get into building it, shall we? First off, we'll start from motor 2. Place it as such. Now make sure you follow these builds carefully because they can get a bit confusing with all these motors. Like I said, take a screenshot in the beginning, it'll help you. Make sure a trail is like that as such, same settings. And then we're going to be locking this motor inwards. Basically just makes the wheels not stick out as far. So this is our steering motor 2. Make sure it's such. Then we're gonna go to motors, motor. This one's gonna be our lock, this one's gonna be our SNW, our movement motor. Make sure it is S, backward, forward, W, speed 25. And make sure this other motor is unpowered, and locked. Then we're gonna go half wedge. Place it as such. Unpowered motors. Blue, unpowered. Keep that in mind. That screenshot from the beginning will help. Transparency to the max, lifetime below. This is basically just a modified version of the double wishbone, which you will be seeing next. Make sure those are unpowered.
Right now. Hey everybody, it's Kyle Grant. I'm the host on 10 Questions and season.
Alright, sorry about that. I'm just going to place a wedge 1x2 as such. Then another motor. This will be also unpowered. Suspension. Place them. Sorry about that. It was a mistake. Place it as such. Just like that. Then a wedge, half wedge. Now this is basically it. This is the simple suspension component, and we're just going to copy this 4 times now. Now suspension you will want at, sorry, not 4.5, it's a typo, I meant 3.5. Sorry about that, typo. 3.5 stiffness to the max. Damping you don't need to mess with. Now we're going to copy this 4 more times for the basic chassis. If you want to use this chassis, be my guest. But it would not be the best. Make sure density is at 5. And wedge 1x2. Another motor. Make sure this is unpowered, similar to the other one. Suspension. Same settings. These are going to be more unpowered motors. This side would be, the right side is W and S, and the left side is S and W. My bad. Sometimes I get sticky keys, so you see me move blocks as such. Or sticky mouse where my mouse just sticks and it's frustrating, but I can't do anything about it. Now while building this, you will notice there's a tutorial similar to this. I noticed all I did to this though is I took the double wishbone and just slapped it to the side, only to realize there's a similar tutorial already out there. So no, I did not copy him, but with my double wishbone it looked similar. All I did is I just slapped the springs to the side and then moved him back a bit so I can have a little more compression to it. DNA 1.5 on the top, A and D 1.5. Make sure it's a servo on the bottom. You'll notice that if you made this mistake, which will be shown here in a little bit, and what to do to fix it. Trail, motor. This one's gonna be locked, and the other one's gonna be W and S and W, my bad, 25. Now from here, I'm not gonna speak, as it's the same thing in the back, except without the steering. So just follow along if you want to finish the chassis, or you can just skip to the next one. Now we're just about done with the build, just making a quick adjustment as we did make a mistake. I did indeed forget to put that block, or those blocks. So now your suspension should work, and steering should be as such. If not, then join my Discord, link in description, and shoot me a DM, and I'll gladly try to help you. On to the next one now. Next up we have the simple double wishbone as I showed earlier, except this one is vertical instead of horizontal. And this is probably the most basic suspension you can build. Works fine off-road, but because of its age and how this is one of the very first ones I built, as you could probably see through a lot of my videos, you can see that it is definitely not smooth, but it is good for a start. If you're wanting to learn how to make suspension, this is a very simple and easy start to it. That works pretty decent, I will admit. Alright, let's go on to the build now. So this one has only unpowered motors, so any motor you see will only be unpowered. That's why this one's simple and easier. So we're going to start off making these all unpowered. Move it over by a block. Another block. And another block. This is also good for smaller cars. If you're wanting to build a car but you want to include suspension, you just can't figure out a smaller one. This is a decent double wishbone, a smaller one. You could probably even make it smaller or more compact, but this will do. And then we're going to go to trails, transparency, lifetime 0, as such and all. And now while we're here real quick, I'm going to give you a recommendation. If your suspension type was not here or you're wanting more different, tell me in the comments and I'll do another one of these videos and help you all out. Place them as such, it should not be any longer than 7 blocks. Then another motor. All these motors, make sure they're unpowered. Now to suspension. Like that. The rope. Place them just side by side. Now the only reason why the race suspension didn't have the rope is because it didn't needed it. Now we're gonna go cylinder and place them out 4 blocks. Go to block, place them 1 by 1, then another cylinder out by 4 blocks. Now from here out it's the same exact thing as in the front, so just copy it down. Alright, we're just about done building the simple chassis for a double wishbone. So now, the suspension will be 6, stiffness 30. You do not have to mess with the damping. And the ropes you won't have to mess with either. Just copy this down on all the suspension and you're done. And then just hold F to raise it. And it should be, it's pretty much it. I mean, not much to it. It's a very simple and starting one. Next up, we're on the tank suspension, or Christie, the most requested suspension here. This was built my old Object 279, as you could see in my past video. I got quite a bit of comments on this one, saying how to build this. So this is the only suspension that uses an angled motor. 2, which you'll see now. Onto the build. First of all, I want you to copy this centerpiece. This is a basic. This suspension is a little on the complex side, so if you are new to it, be careful. So now we're going to start off with locking these motors. All yellow is locked, blue unpowered. Now you're going to build them out like this, and then this next one, sorry. That was a misclick. You don't actually notice it until, yeah, there, that's when I noticed my, oh. Suspension. Place it down. This is the same exact, you don't have to mess with it. Now we're going to go to trail. Make sure they're on transparency 1, lifetime 0. So they don't pop up. Place them as such. Wait, my bad. Other way. Now this is only on one side, but you will see here in a little bit, if you're wondering, how to build a complete setup that shows you how to lock them all together as well. If you're wanting to do more than 3 or 4 or 5, 6, 7, 8, whatever. This is not the most compact, but it's the most efficient from my knowledge and from my testing. I wasn't able to make it extremely compact as such. The only reason why I had these motors locked is so when you build, you get a little more space and a little more room to mess with. And make sure these... Now you will notice here in a minute, or here in a bit, on a mistake that you could have made, that I'll show you how to fix it as well. These motors will be unpowered. Sorry, these are moving motors. Now this motor will be unpowered. Now this suspension is the same, just make sure the stiffness is 30, free length is 4. Cylinders, we're going to use half cylinder, 3x3. Then we're just going to use fabric. So, when you spawn in, you'll have to press 1 to angle it, but you see how one side moves and the other one goes inwards? That's probably from an error that you could have made. So here's why I showed this. So make sure on the one side you have it the opposite. You don't have to use keypad multiply, you can just use whatever button you don't want. Then you just spawn it in, press 1, F to unanchor, and there you go. Now we gotta make these the moving ones. So A and D in the inner motor, then WS on the outer motor for this other side. Now you'll notice when I spawn in that it does tend to want to flip a lot. And to fix this issue, you will have to lower the speed of the motors. Otherwise it will tend to flip. And plus suspension doesn't work as well at a higher speed. It's better at a lower speed. The only reason why the Object 279 has a higher speed is due to its weight. Now, in order to build this next part, just follow carefully. It's the same exact thing, except it just shows you how to make another segment. From this point on, I will not speak as it's the same as you've built. And if you want to make it even longer, just copy this segment and keep on going.
When was the last time everyone agreed on what's for dinner? You want ramen, they want pizza. Luckily, there's something for everyone on the DoorDash app. Download DoorDash and get 50% off your first order up to $12 value with code DDSP22. Limited time offer. Get more from your name.
This is a good time to remember. Go back to the very beginning or save this time stamp to remember the motors in the beginning. Blue, unpowered. Red would mean it's W and S, so your forward momentum motors. Green would be A and D, your steering motors. Yellow means it's locked. Pink means it will angle the suspension, which is only seen on this build, and this build only. The next build is the most complex one, the most efficient one, and if you really want to give it a shot and you're new to suspension, you can try it. But it is not easy to get it all down. Now, lower the speed to 25 on all these motors as being done. This will help prevent it from flipping. And my bad, I forgot to change all these wheels to fabric. So they're stuck on default, sadly. But make sure they're on 25 if you don't want to be flipping until you add weight to the vehicle. Now you can just copy these wheels as many times as you need. And that will be it for this. Just make sure to press 1 to angle those motors and press F to unanchor if it's your button or keybind. Alright, so on to the next one, and my favorite. The rock crawler chassis. This is a beast. So this one's the most complex, as you'll see, but it works the best. And I don't have a build on this one just yet. On the past ones, I have either a build in progress or a video already uploaded. This one not yet, but it will most likely be the next video. But yeah, as you can see, this thing is my best chassis I built. I used a similar pattern on the 8x8 rock crawler, but this one's way better at crawling than that. Now, it's not the smoothest, that's for sure, but it's mainly best for agility. And as you can see, you can get some pretty crazy angles out of it. This is still probably my favorite one, I gotta admit, it's so fun to drive. Alright, on to the build now. As you can see, this one has the most colors, so start off with a cylinder, and take a moment if you want to pause right here to keep in mind these color combinations and reference in the beginning. So the ballast block here is just going to prevent the axles from lifting too far up. Now with this motor will be locked. This one is our forward momentum motor. Right side W and S, left side S and W. Now motor 2 is going to be our steering motor on this build. A&D, servo. Make sure the maximum goes 35 and the speed can be 1.5 just to help prevent too much sliding. Now this build is the whole chassis. You can use this front part, but you'll see why I have rope there in a minute. Damping 100, stiffness 100. This is an unpowered motor that's connected to a locked motor. This one should be locked. And that's pretty much the basic part of this. And now we're going to go into that was the side-to-side momentum. This is now the vertical. So similar concept there. This is the start of the chassis. And that's pretty much your suspension component from the side. Now we're going to combine the two with an axle in the center. Let's put the cylinder there, a block just for the look of it, and another cylinder. I only place a block because it somewhat looks like a differential. Then another motor. This one should be unpowered. Suspension, this is our vertical movement. This is what allows us to go up and down essentially and absorb smaller bumps. Now these are going to be unpowered motors. And the reason why we have ropes is just to prevent the suspension from going way too far to the point it's bending itself inwards. I've had that happen, that's why I had to put the ropes here. And they're not seen on my other rock crawler because the suspension is similar, but not the same. The ropes is similar to the double wishbone, you'll just have to hold F to make sure it doesn't glitch out. These motors will be locked inwards. And that's it. You pretty much have the basic parts. Now we're gonna put these components on the other side. Straightforward. You'll copy it down. Sorry, I had to take a minute. I had to go around just to make sure these ones are unpowered and the ones that are locked. Because even I forgot the color combination, forgot what they meant at this moment. Because, apologies, I did this late at night. Which I sort of regret, but sometimes it's a fun thing to do. Makes your stuff interesting, as one would say. You can also notice my new avatar, I hope you like it. Now we're going to copy this, make sure that's a locked motor. This one should be S and W on the other side. Speed 10, max torque. So it'll allow you to climb those real steep hills. And there's some parts where I was testing this suspension, because this is my newest one that I built for my newest build. It can almost go up vertical walls. I'd say it can go up about a 75-degree wall, maybe an 80-degree. Not too much of an issue. This is just there for the look. You honestly could have just put a block. Make sure this is 3 blocks. 1, 2, 3. Wedge 1x4. Now we're essentially just going to be copying the front to the back. So we'll not speak now. These small propeller engines just make sure the chassis stays on the ground since we don't have soft tires and playing crazy. So you kind of have to cheat on this behalf. Or we don't have real weight, I'd say. Or soft tires, so you have to do this. But now we're copying it. And as a quick reminder, every single time I don't place a wheel, it's because you can use whatever wheels you want. This one, don't use a 3x3. You can maybe use a 5x5, but you won't get that ground clearance. It's better to make a custom 7x7 or a custom 9x9. I've proven to be the best. The bigger ones though, 11x11, you'd have to make the chassis longer by about 3 to 5 blocks depending on your build in order for it to still work. And when you build these wheels, while we're continuing the chassis, same thing as last time, you would want them about 2 to 4 blocks wide, so you get maximum grip and traction. Now enjoy this music. Now here in a moment, you will see something. Now, these back motors, if you make them A and D, you will make a mistake where you'll have crab crawling capabilities, which we don't want. So you'll have to make sure these back ones are D and A. But I'll show you what happens if you don't make the rear ones D and A, as I did not, as an example. So I don't get in the comments saying, oh, I forgot this and that. Trying to help save y'all some time.
If you vape, you could be inhaling toxin.
So hold F to make sure. Now I did forget to lock the motors for the rope, so apologies for that. I accidentally made them unpowered on habit, so apologies on that part. Okay, so now you'll notice, just hold F and whoa. So hold F now, you'll see the rear wheels move like a crab and don't go inwards. And because that mistake is because your rear ones are A and D and not D and A. You have to flip it. So you just gotta go D, A, D, A. Now your suspension should work just fine. Just remember to hold F. I don't know what's going on there. Okay. Now your turning should now work perfectly, and your suspension should work perfectly. If it does not, go in the Discord and let me know. This is it. So I hope y'all have a wonderful, lovely day, lads. And I'll see y'all in the next video. Goodbye.